What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Night Owl channel. In this video, we'll be counting down the top 10 deaths within the Dynasty Warriors series. Now, everyone within the series has a death at some point, but in the game, some people are highlighted more within their death. And in this video, I'm going to count down my picks for the top 10 most impactful and important deaths within the Dynasty Warriors series. Let me know what you guys think about my list down below. But before we jump into the top 10, I want to mention one honorable mention before we jump into the 10 because it was hard to narrow down the list to just 10 significant deaths. A lot of the characters that end up dying, whether it's mentioned, whether they have a significant event or not, does have some effect on the game and their respective kingdoms that they are a part of. The first one I want to mention as an honorable mention is Lu Bu, and he's not going to make it into the top 10 because in most of the games he's dragged away from, or he's like cut down right there, or whatever it is, but I don't think it's super significant to the point where it would top any of the other top 10 that I already have. But I would say Lu Bu is a strong honorable mention, a strong number 11, because the death of Lu Bu, the death of the greatest warrior during that time, definitely was impactful for me just to watch, him being tied up and kind of restrained. A character that's that strong, that represents so much within the game, being killed like that within the games, definitely has its impact, but it was a tough decision to make, and I didn't include it in the top 10, but I wanted to mention it really quickly. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the top 10 most impactful deaths within the Dynasty Warriors series. Again, let me know what you guys think about my list down below if I missed anybody. It was a pretty hard list to make, but we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Number 10, Liu Bei.
One who has shown true benevolence until the very end. My lord.
Liu Bei's deaths within the Dynasty Warriors series is pretty impactful, I would say. Again, it was hard to really narrow down which people I wanted in the top 10, but I think Liu Bei is a solid choice for starting off the top 10 because after Liu Bei's death, it's kind of the end of the old era. A lot of the other more famous officers have passed away by this point, and it really signals the change and the shift in the Dynasty Warriors or the Three Kingdoms period. So I had to include it within the list. He does have some very good cinematic death scenes in the later parts of the Dynasty Warriors series. It's not really mentioned like Dynasty Warriors 6 and like previously before that, but Dynasty Warriors 7, 8, and 9 all take their time and really hammering down the death of Liu Bei and really making it a significant event within the series. So for me personally, number 10, I think Liu Bei's death within the series is extremely impactful, and it's going to make the list here at number 10. Number 9, Zhou Yu.
Your words mean the world to me. I will not forget.
And I have done all I have to.
So this was a pretty hard choice for me because it was hard to determine whether or not Zhou Yu's death was a little bit more impactful than Liu Bei's, or if it was a little bit higher on the list. Again, you guys let me know what you guys think. But I think Zhou Yu's death, especially in Dynasty Warriors 9, they really take their time to, emphasize the death of Zhou Yu. Very cinematic piece, very impactful death. I think that's why it's a little bit higher for me in Dynasty Warriors versus Liu Bei. Liu Bei's death revolves around the same thing. He's in his bed, he's kind of stagnant. But Zhou Yu's injured, he's wounded, and then he gets up out of frustration, and then the wound gets worse, and he ends up pretty much passing out and eventually dying. And then, of course, Zhou Yu's death in general is an extremely impactful moment for the Wu Kingdom. They're losing their most pivotal strategist at the time, one of the, you could say, original retainers of the Wu Kingdom. He's been there since the beginning, and he's witnessed the death of his best friend and lots of other capable officers at that time. And then Zhou Yu receiving the injury from the arrow, getting shot, and then eventually passing away definitely affected a lot of people within that kingdom. So I would say a solid choice for Zhou Yu coming at number 9. I believe his Dynasty Warriors 9 death was the strongest because the other two, Dynasty Warriors 7, he got the bed death scene, but Dynasty Warriors 8 and 9, a little bit more cinematic, a little bit more impactful, I would say, and I think it's a solid choice here at number 9. Number 8, Sun Jian.
I'm sorry. My death will only hurt you more.
Alright, Sun Jian's death within the Dynasty Warriors series has been part of the series for quite some time. I believe it happens in most of the games. Dynasty Warriors 3 it happens, Dynasty Warriors 5. I want to say Dynasty Warriors 6 it's mentioned. Yeah, it's mentioned in Dynasty Warriors 6, but you don't really see it. And in Dynasty Warriors 7, 8, and 9, he gets the, cinematic deaths, the very heartfelt, impactful deaths. Sun Jian's death within the Dynasty Warriors series is displayed pretty well. Even in the earlier games, Dynasty Warriors 3 and Dynasty Warriors 5, I think they did a pretty good job, with the limited capabilities and resources they had at the time. I still think they displayed it very well, and you definitely have some sort of feeling when, Dynasty Warriors 5, he gets shot off his horse, shot in the stomach, and then you're in Sun Jian's POV and everything goes blurry for a little bit. They're all shooting arrows at you. Sun Jian passes away. Pretty significant and impactful moment within the Wu Kingdom. I believe Sun Jian's death is like the very first impactful death for the Wu side. And of course, him being the patriarchal leader of the Wu Kingdom and the Sun family. Dynasty Warriors 7 and Dynasty Warriors 9, they did a fantastic job with his death. Very impactful. You really feel the death of Sun Jian and the emotionality of his death, and I think it's a solid choice here at number 8. Sun Jian, the patriarchal leader, Tiger of Jiangdong himself, I think is a great choice here at number 8. Number 7, Lu Meng.
Is important to you, but you must also think of where our Lord seeks to go.
Master Lu Meng! Master Lu Meng!
Alright, Lu Meng's death within the Dynasty Warriors series was pretty easy to put in this list. Actually, I would say the top 7 were pretty easy to rank and just put them in the list in general. The bottom 3 were pretty difficult to decide where I wanted them and who, made the list and everything like that. But Lu Meng coming at number 7, I think his death within the series is pretty impactful for most players, and then of course, people on the Wu side as well. As early as Dynasty Warriors 5, I would say, you see this cinematic death that Lu Meng has and the impact that he's leaving behind. Dynasty Warriors 6, they really amp it up as part of the story arc for Gan Ning and Lu Xun. And you can see the impact that it has when he ends up passing away. Dynasty Warriors 7, 8, and 9, they continue on that route. Dynasty Warriors 9, they take a step back because instead of a cinematic death, he just is talking to Ling Tong and Gan Ning, letting them know how proud he is of them, kind of giving them the fatherly salute before he ends up passing away. And I believe it's a very impactful death for the series. I think most users on the Wu side, or if you like the Wu side or play the Wu side, I think you have some sort of reaction to Lu Meng dying. I think that's why he's a solid choice up here at number 7. Again, for me, his death in Dynasty Warriors 6 was probably the reason why he's here. Lu Meng's death in the Dynasty Warriors series definitely has an emotionality attached to it, and I think it's a solid choice for number 7 and has a little bit more impact than some of the other characters that I've already mentioned, just because of the way it's displayed within the game. So number 7, Lu Meng. Number 6, Xiahou Yuan.
Come on! It breaks now?
Alright, so coming in at number 6, we have Xiahou Yuan's death. The reason he's up this high, it's a very impactful death. I think most of the games that Xiahou Yuan gets killed, I have a pretty emotional reaction to it. I actually, feel something because his death is animated and displayed in the game extremely well. Dynasty Warriors 7 is his best death scene. When I see him die in Dynasty, that cutscene itself is extremely impactful. His bow breaks, he gets shot, he falls down, he says his last words, and he's smiling basically on his deathbed. He's on the ground pretty much, passing away, and he's smiling and, doesn't seem to have a regret in his mind. He's just like, this is what happens, and it's a very impactful death, very cinematic death. Dynasty Warriors 9, they take it to the next degree. He gets shot in the arm, and Huang Zhong just lights him up with an arrow, and he ends up falling and dying. When I first saw it, I was jaw dropped. My jaw was dropped. Xiahou Yuan just getting shot point blank and getting killed was pretty impactful to say the least. But Xiahou Yuan, I think, is an excellent choice here at number 6. And the only reason he didn't make it to the top 5 is because, again, I think the impact of him dying is not as significant as the top 5 characters. But I think he has probably one of the best cinematic deaths within the series. His legendary duel with Huang Zhong is always displayed pretty well within the game. He's an easy choice here at number 6. Number 5. Zhuge Liang.
Lord Liu Bei, let us go together.
Alright, so just take whatever I said about Liu Bei and let's now apply it to Zhuge Liang. So starting off the top 5, we have Zhuge Liang's death within the Dynasty Warriors series. This really is the end of an era when Zhuge Liang passes away, because this is the beginning of Liu Shan and Jiang Wei and, really the establishment of the Jin Kingdom. Most of the games do a really good job with Zhuge Liang's death. He's usually stumbling on his way to the Wuzhong Plains, or he dies in the battle itself. A lot of events, a lot of cinematics around his death. And I think Dynasty Warriors 7 and Dynasty Warriors 9 really does the best job with it. I love his ending in Dynasty Warriors 9, really alluding to his death and being reunited with the people that pretty much ignited the passion in Zhuge Liang to want to follow Liu Bei. Him seeing them in heaven or the Peach Garden, whatever it is, after he ends up passing away. I really enjoyed his cutscene, his ending within Dynasty Warriors 9. Just signifies how impactful of a death that Zhuge Liang has within the series. Sima Yi no longer is afraid of Shu because of Zhuge Liang's death. In a sense, they use him to scare him off, just by having a doll there, right? But for the most part, that signifies how important this character was within the series. Of course, being the mastermind behind the Three Kingdoms and really establishing this period in itself. His death is going to obviously have a significant effect on people, and then of course with the other characters in the game, Jiang Wei and everyone else who was around at that time. They were genuinely confused on what to do next. How do we go on without him? Nobody thought about what to do when Zhuge Liang passed away, and he easily is a top 5 death, I believe, within the series, and that's why he comes in at number 5. The Sleeping Dragon passing away at the Battle of Wuzhong Plains, easy pick for number 5. Number 4. Cao Cao.
Tian Wei, I can finally tell you I'm sorry. Xiahou Yuan, forgive me.
Alright, next up, the hero of chaos himself, Cao Cao, passing away. Again, I have to piggyback off of Zhuge Liang and Liu Bei. His death is signifying the end, or the beginning of the end, of an era, because after Cao Cao passes away, you lose lots of other significant characters within this time frame. So I would say Cao Cao definitely has an extremely significant death within the series, because he's the one that he starts it off. He's one of the main 3 kingdoms. He's the leader. He's the guy that probably has the most passion and ambition for uniting the land under his name, and he is unfortunately, in the historical routes within the games, he is unable to see that vision come to life. And I think his death within the series is extremely impactful. Dynasty Warriors 7 does a great job with his death, as well as Dynasty Warriors 9. I believe his death in Dynasty Warriors 9 was really cool. I think the way they kind of went about it, and everybody was kind of mourning even though he said not to, was a pretty impactful moment. I really liked his ending in Dynasty Warriors 9. It was very, very heart-wrenching, definitely hit the emotions pretty good. And then in Dynasty Warriors 7, when, he's thanking Xiahou Dun for everything he's done for him, and then he quietly passes away, and the scroll falls and rolls up to Xiahou Dun. He turns around. The great hero of chaos himself ends up passing on. His death within the series is arguably one of the most impactful. Easy pick up here at number 4. I think they do a really good job of displaying that death. Even in Dynasty Warriors 6, when you don't really see his death, but that's what he's alluding to when he completes his vision. Even that moment within itself is another, I would say, emotional and impactful moment that deserved for him to be up here at number 4. So Hero of Chaos, Cao Cao, number 4. I think he has an extremely significant impact within the game, and that's why his death is that much more impactful. Number 3. Sun Ce.
I've had you, Shang Xiang, and Zhou Yu by my side. I wanted to fight more with you all, to build the land we all dreamed of.
Sun Ce, you're...
I wish I could have had more time.
Alright, coming in at number 3, we have my boy Sun Ce. His death is one of the most impactful within the games because it is the way it's cinematically shown within the series, it's just beautiful. His death is one of the most impactful deaths because of the way Dynasty Warriors 7 does such a good job with his death. He's walking, he's talking, he's alluding to the fact that he's so proud of the people that he's, Sun Quan, his sister, Zhou Yu, how well they've been doing, how good they've been doing, how they're going to become, their potential as officers and commanders and stuff. And he's saying all these things, and the user, and then people realizing what's going on when you start seeing the little pieces of the arrow all from his back, and he just collapses right in front of Sun Quan, and that's the end of, Sun Ce. In Dynasty Warriors 6, they do a great job as well. He gets shot a few times, and then he ends up passing away. And then in Dynasty Warriors 8, when he gets held up and stabbed, and, he collapses at the end and looks over to Sun Quan and says, "It's all yours now," and passes out. It's just an extremely impactful moment. Dynasty Warriors 9, I think they did a good job as well. But Dynasty Warriors 7 is the reason he's at number 3. That cinematic death for him is just, it's one of the best, man. It's such a good death. It's one of the most impactful ones. It might be a little biased for me because he's my favorite character, so just seeing how he dies in Dynasty Warriors 7 was kind of heart-wrenching. He's entrusting everything to his brother and best friend, and you just don't see it coming. You just don't see it coming. Everything foreshadowing up to that point, the Ganji incident, and then the guy ends up falling off the roof and everything. You can see he's spaced out, and you don't know what's going on. And then Sun Quan's got a feeling that something bad's going on, and it's just, I think it's a really great death in the series. I think it affects a lot of people within the game and within the series. He could be a little lower. It could be argued that Zhuge Liang or Cao Cao's death was more impactful, but just because he's my favorite character and just I am a little biased with it, he's going to come up here at number 3, the little conqueror himself falling before he's able to really reach his prime as a leader. Easy choice, number 3, Sun Ce. Number 2, Dian Wei.
My lord, promise me you will make our dream of a new world a reality. Sorry, Shuju. Maybe we'll tend your field together another time.
Okay, I couldn't make a top 10 list without including one of the most impactful cinematic deaths within the series. Number 2 is an easy choice for the big man himself, Dian Wei. Now, death within the series for the later games gets so much better. I believe they allude to it in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5, but because it was more hypothetical than anything with those stages, I don't think they really go towards his death. They might mention it a couple times, but there's events of him protecting Cao Cao, but I don't think there's any cinematic death for him. Dynasty Warriors 7, 8, and 9, they take the cake. This guy's death in this game is beautiful death. Now, Dynasty Warriors 8, probably not as good because, he gets shot a bunch of times. He rips it out of his back and then continues fighting, and then he passes out later. But Dynasty Warriors 7 and Dynasty Warriors 9, Dynasty Warriors 9 was so good. His ending was so good. The cutscene for his death was so good. It was just beautiful. I just loved the way he kind of, after Cao Cao's escaping, is looking back, that slow motion run, his last thoughts. It's a very emotional and impactful death. It's an easy, no-brainer choice to up here at number 2. Dian Wei's death definitely, I would say, has an impact on players. He might not be a favorite or anything like that, but I think people who play the game and watch his cinematic deaths would definitely feel something, have a little empathy towards the character, or just feel that, that's a pretty rough moment. You've got arrows just all over your body. You're holding off as long as you can. And then once you realize that you've done your job and, Cao Cao's getting away, I'm sure he fights to the end. He fights until his last breath, but a lot of the games allude to him kind of slowly losing conscious, slowly starting to lose his energy, and of course, eventually passing away. But number 2, Dian Wei, it's a definite no-brainer, one of the most impactful and cinematic deaths in the series, like I've already said, and it's an easy, solid choice for number 2. Let's go ahead and move on to the most significant death, in my opinion, in the Dynasty Warriors series. Number 1, Guan Yu.
And Zhang Fei, a message for me. Tell them I'm sorry I broke my promise. Farewell, my son. I have always been proud of you.
Alright, if you have not guessed it already, the number one death within the series is Guan Yu. Now, if you've watched my number one battle, or my top 10 battle video, you'll know I mentioned Fawn Castle in that and how significant that battle is. Same thing, Guan Yu's death within the series signifies the shift. This is the climax of the series. Guan Yu's death signals a significant shift within the series, and not only on top of that, but he has some of the most cinematic deaths within the series. Dynasty Warriors 7, 8, and 9, they do a great job with the deaths later on, but Dynasty Warriors 5 was good. You know, Dynasty Warriors 3, he has a little moment when he gets killed. It's just, he has those moments within the series that makes you really feel something. Guan Yu's death within the series, I believe, is the most significant and the most impactful death within the series. You see that betrayal coming. You know, he gets surrounded by Wu, or he's surrounded by Wei, and Xiahou Dun usually approaches him, and they end up killing him. You know, whatever it is, it's a pretty impactful death. They started adding his children in, right? So, you know, Guan Yinping's there, you know, Guan Su, Guan Jing, and he's fighting to the last breath as he is trying to get his children to escape. He's got the one in Dynasty Warriors 7. He knocks Guan Su off of the ledge just so he can escape, and, you know, he's surrounded by Wu forces, and Guan Yu's death within Dynasty Warriors 9 takes the cake. It's so good. He's fighting with Zhou Song and Guan Ping for a little bit. They run in. It's implied that they die or whatever it is. And then Guan Yu is fighting to his last breath. He surrenders to Wu. They cut his head off. And then, of course, fighting with Xiahou Dun, and, you know, him fighting off all the arrows being shot at him. Guan Yu's death, hands down, the number one most significant and most impactful death within the series. I don't think anyone can really argue with that. After his death, you see the reaction from Liu Bei, leading to some of the most cinematic and like tension build scenes within the series. And you're like, oh God, what's gonna happen next? What's he gonna do? But yep, his death to me is the most significant, most impactful. It really defines the shift in the era itself. Once he passes away, a lot of other characters start passing away, and it really signifies the end of the old era and the start of the new one. And that's why Guan Yu is up here at number one for the most significant death within the Dynasty Warriors series. But that's all I have for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about my list down below. There's a good amount of deaths within the series, and again, like I said, everybody dies eventually, but the games highlight some of the deaths a little bit more than others, and these are my picks for the top 10 that I believe are the most impactful within the series so far. So let me know what you guys think about it down below. Who do you guys think is the number one most impactful death in the series? Was I right? Was I wrong? Did I miss someone? But that's all I have, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, definitely appreciate a like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.